Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Firebelly Social Show, where I talk to founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. So really talking to people that are making a difference in the world and doing cool things in the food and beverage space. And we've had all kinds of amazing people on the show, and we've got a phenomenal guest today. And this episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. Firebelly Marketing is a company I started where we focus on social media marketing, organic, paid influencers, and creative services, work with some amazing brands. And we're really able to clarify the message of a brand and help them accomplish success on social media, being more likable. So with that, I'm so pleased to tell you the story. My buddy Jason Falls is telling me, you got to talk to this guy in Lexington. He's doing some amazing things. And his name is Rob, and he's got this amazing concept, and he's giving people a second chance, and it's called DV8. And so I heard about it, and I was really excited. And then our family goes to the Smokies, and we spend the night in Lexington, and my wife's picked out the restaurant. It's like the couple days after the conversation, I walk in, oh my God, this is the place. Anyway, with no further ado, welcome Rob Perez, who's the founder of DV8, and he's done lots of other amazing things in his life. But Rob, so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Rob, you are changing the world, man. It's like you tell us about the name of the now two locations, DV8, and what is DV8, and how did you decide to start it?
Okay, so let me tell you what DV8 is, and then I'll tell you how we started it, because it's a crazy story. But DV8 is built specifically to help people that are in a second chance position from substance use disorder. So there are folks that are in recovery that need a job. 40% are from generational poverty, 75% come from penitentiaries, 25% have been in jail, that literally not many people haven't been that we employ. And they're people that others probably wouldn't employ because of their background, gaps in their employment, incarceration, drugs and alcohol, the whole thing. Well, we try to hire folks that really not only want a job, but need a job. And the idea is that we want to serve life-changing food and help them deviate from their past. And our whole mission is to try to help folks contemplate their effort, their standards, and the relationships at work so that they can live the best career that they possibly can. And it might start humbly, but it doesn't have to end that way.
Wow. I mean, that is just such a great story. Life-changing food and deviate from their trajectory and do something different and interesting and perhaps I can even use that word good. So yeah. How'd you decide to do this, Rob?
I didn't, and I didn't want to do it. And my wife just pushed every lever to get me to do it. And I resisted and I resisted. Ultimately, she tried to push the lever of, hey, look, you've been blessed to be able to have this experience in corporate America and have jobs that you've learned stuff in that all relate to the restaurant industry. And you've also had really the blessing of going through rehab at 25. And so it's hard to think of going through rehab as a blessing, but that's my wife in a nutshell. So she tries to convince me that at this time we had 3 restaurants here in Lexington that were for profit. And she wants to do kind of a side hustle where we would create a concept specifically to help people. Everything from the menu and how we do it was crafted to be able to help people in early stages of recovery. And I kept on looking at it, not as a community member like she tried to appeal to me, not as a human that wants to help other humans, not even with my faith. She couldn't push any lever that would make me get off of this idea that it wouldn't work. Because I had shown her 64 applications in 8 years we would hire, and it cost us $870 to hire someone at this concept. We had an average tenure of 2 weeks. And so I said, here's the reason we can't do it. And there's no way. I can't be a community member. I can't be a good man. I can't be a man of faith and expressing our faith through our work because it won't work. Here's the example. And she wouldn't let up. And she kept on hounding me. And literally, she put me through my paces. And I eventually acquiesced and we did it. But it almost went bankrupt before we figured it all out. And it was really hard. But I can tell you now that we have people, 100% of our folks are from recovery, from incarceration, from poverty. And Yelp does an annual survey of every restaurant in America and what they were rated. And we were rated the 40th best restaurant in all of America with a workforce that most people would never, ever hire. And I think that that's amazing.
That is amazing. So I got to take a quick aside here because we talked about this before we started. So we're casting the movie DV8, and maybe Tom Hanks, Richard Dreyfuss. I don't know who's going to play you. Who's going to play your wife?
My goodness!
This is the real story. Isn't about Rob Perez. It's about Rob Perez's wife. She's the one that has made this happen.
The star of the show absolutely is my wife. And there's not a woman in Hollywood that would be beautiful enough or beautiful enough inside to be able to play her. So I can't typecast her, but I'll tell you, she's wonderful. I agree.
That's amazing. I'm going to cast myself as Stanley Tucci, who comes to the restaurant and then has this aha moment and stops making Italian food and moves to Lexington. So.
Where's your body shirt? You need a body shirt if you're going to do this, right?
So, you used this term earlier and again just now, second chance employment. I really believe that is a powerful term because really, if I think in my third-party perspective, you are using food as a tremendous mechanism of change, right? And what does second chance employment mean today?
Well, I think it's a gap in employment. It's a gap in living, outside of society. It's a gap in living on the other side of the tracks. And that gap creates a resume or an application that becomes unhireable to someone in a position that can give a job. And if you think about it, what we do in our processes is eliminate risk so I don't have to retrain someone later, right? And so when you start to train yourself to realize that any gap, any background, anything that doesn't look like what I am, you don't hire. And so what we found is that this practice that we call HR sometimes gets in the way of the whole Horatio Alger story. Like, how are we in America going to be able to truly give everybody the opportunity equally until we stop and contemplate maybe we should give an interview to someone that has a past, has a gap, doesn't have the same exact, background educationally as me, whatever, has a different name than me. But maybe I should try in my business and maybe I can give a job to someone that not only wants it, but needs it. And maybe change the rate in which someone can go from the bottom third of our economy into the middle class and then on to the upper end. If free enterprise is going to truly work, it has to work for everybody.
Because what I love about what you said is equal opportunity, right? Equal opportunity employer, right? Giving everyone a fair chance. And yet, most employers are not going to take a risk with someone that has gaps or spaces, right? And I was that guy. I did not have a linear start to my career, and I could not get an interview. I was applying, and so I can imagine that, that is just something people don't want to do. And yet, if you think about that, those spaces give you tremendous opportunities for reflection and introspection, and also a desire, to change and to do something different. So I really I love the idea. How, being in the restaurant myself, the first location, I was amazed at the quality of the food. It I didn't read the reviews. I just went, right? My wife just picked it and I went, and I was amazed at the quality of the food. But what struck me, and I was reconnecting with yesterday, is the conversation and the engagement, because I was asking some of your employees, like, hey, what's your story? What are you doing? Do you like working here? And they were so engaged, and it was such, human conversation. It wasn't like, I'm too busy to talk to you. It wasn't like, hey, I got to rush and bust this table. They stopped, they talked to me. They had to stay focused on what they were doing, but I just walked away with such a positive experience. And, my wife bought I remember what it was a sweatshirt and a hat, not a cup. And so, as you say, we wear those proudly, but how important is conversation and engagement when you're in this situation and you're making a huge deviation and a change? How important is that conversation and that engagement with other people and customers and doing this work?
Yeah, I mean, if I just concentrated on, kind of employer and employee relationship, what I had fallen in, and I'm the poster boy of doing it wrong. What I'm espousing now is something I had to learn by working with folks that are in a second chance position. And I've come to agree with my wife that we need to do that. But here's what I've learned. In the past, 3 strikes, you're late, you're gone. No explanation, it's just fact. It's just the way it is. It's a transaction. I'm an employer that's transactional, right? But now I've learned what works best is if I ask, hey, why are you late? I know that sounds dumb, but what if they said, hey, I just am not very good at waking up. I'm not a morning person. Well, hey, you work at a breakfast restaurant. I'm really sorry, but really why? But why are you late? Well, I have 2 alarms. Okay, that's good, but why are you late? And you keep on pushing it, and realize that maybe they're a gamer. Then you start saying, okay, so I don't mind that you're a gamer. That's not the issue here. What did you eat? What time? What did you drink? At what time? You'd be frightened to know the answers at how late they drank a 32-ounce Coke, right? But until we have conversations with our employees, which this is the most rudimentary question you can ask, and get to the why, many times folks that are in a second chance position don't realize the cause and effect of it. And it might even be just the Coke effect. And if you bring that up as an employer and you spend 5 minutes with someone, guess what? That turned from a transaction to a relationship. That employee now kind of went, why did he go through all that with me? What was the deal with that? But you know what? I don't even know what the deal was, but maybe I'm not going to drink Coke that late. And maybe I'm going to think about being on time if he cared enough about it. And funny enough, those conversations don't always go well, but generally I find out more about that person and I'm endeared to them. And because I spent time with this employee, they're endeared with me. And they usually 9 times out of 10 are even better employees than they were before. And it's simple. It's just simple, tiny relationship that takes 5 minutes that I never did before. And I'm trying to do more of today.
I mean, that's just so inspiring. I mean, that's a line I know it's not my mother's original line, but she used to say to me that tiny things can make a world of difference. And, not drinking Coca-Cola at 1 o'clock in the morning so you can go to sleep and now you can wake up on time and not have a sugar hangover and you're at work on time. And that's a tiny thing to think about, and yet it can make such a huge difference, right? Because you're right. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't always realize the causal relationship that things have. And asking why, I think I heard that if you ask why 6 times or 7 times, you can usually get to the root of anything. Because there's always a root, right? And as employers, we can't take things personally. We can't make assumptions, right? And if we want other people to be exceptional with their word, we got to be exceptional with our word. Are we really an equal opportunity employer if we have such a low tolerance for humanity? I mean, this is just these are amazing questions that you're provoking in me. So let me ask you this: how many people casually, like Duncan, casually stumble upon DV8 and then are like these? You've heard of the concept of the displaced fan. It's like, I'm a fan of my friend Asma Khan's restaurant in London, and I'm always telling everyone about it, and I have the book, but I've never been there, right? So how many displaced fans do you have that are just all over the place and, have been touched by DV8?
Well, yeah, I mean, about half of the folks come in because we have a great Yelp rating, right? That have no idea about really our mission. But I can tell you this: when someone comes in and I happen to be interacting with them and they tell me how great the staff or the food or the atmosphere is, and I say, "Did you come in because of our mission?" They say, "What mission?" When they find out, they're absolutely raging, insane, excited about the concept, because not only was it good, but it was doing good. And they like it even more. They're more passionate about it, and they want to come back and tell their friends. Now, that's not my goal. Honestly, our goal is to try to convince every American business just to employ one person that doesn't even deserve your job and have a relationship with them. And if every American business does that, and we can help work one person at a time together, that maybe free enterprise could save the world, not ruin the world.
Beautiful, beautiful challenge, Rob. It really is. Now, I want to change the subject for just a second. You have had something really big happen in the last few weeks, right? You've done something big. What is it?
Yeah. So because of my intense, smart business acumen, I actually committed my wife, my family, and the business to opening up a new restaurant on the 29th of February of 2020, just before 3 weeks before all of the restaurants got shut down. And we've been stumbling and rumbling and trying to open up this restaurant, and we stayed committed to it because of the staff. But it's a sizable, economic commitment. And we opened up another restaurant the 1st of September, and it has 1,000 square foot bakery, so that we could try to figure out how to grow the bakery business and teach people the skill and the craft of baking. And I'm not a baker, so there's some challenges with it, but it's going pretty well. And we're growing our wholesale business, and we're super excited.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Rob. I love that story. Thank you for doing these things. How can people find you?
Well, we're online, dv8kitchen.com. We have, the Instagram, Facebook, and hey, just an old-fashioned phone call or a text. I mean, you can find it on all of our material online, and I'm happy to call you back. info@dv8kitchen.com. It's me.
And just to clarify, it's the letter D, the letter V, the number 8.
Yeah. So we like double entendres, but check out the logo, right? So the idea is that, in addiction, man, things can really go down fast, right? Pretty crazy. And one bad decision leads to another. Your life starts to sink. At the bottom, it's pretty crazy and complex. That's why we have the kind of the graffiti to make sure that people understand the chaos that can be. But even at the depths of your bottom, there could be a choice that you make to change it. And if you choose recovery, we see that recovery works. I mean, things like testing, holding yourself accountable, community, all that really works. That if you can change from making one bad decision after another to one good decision, it really grows steam and your life can really take an upward trajectory that's unbelievable. And for us, we're trying to express our faith, and that's what the halo is. So that's kind of the idea. The idea is deviate, the letter D, the letter V, and the number 8 from your past lifestyle, and by selling life-changing food. So that's the story.
Love it. So before we get to the last couple of questions, thank you for listening to the Firebelly Social Show, where we talk to founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And this is brought to you by Firebelly, where we make brands more likable and help them to increase all their metrics. So let's talk about a couple of other questions, Rob. Like, Rob, you are doing this big work. How do you recuperate or rejuvenate yourself? What do you do for fun or to relax?
Well, I love the outdoors. I love to be with my family. I love to run. I love to go out to dinner. I'm not going to lie. It's the DV8 thing has taken over my life. I never realized the need to get the word out for other businesses to consider doing what we're doing, even in a small way. I didn't recognize the need, and it's driven me, my wife, and even my family to have very little margin. So unfortunately, right now, there's not much time for going out to dinner, going outside, hanging out. We do group things. My daughter's now away at college, but anytime we can get together, go out to dinner outdoors, I mean, we have to kind of be economical with the way that we spend our time right now.
That's amazing. So Rob, last thing, let's say that this next thing that you're going to say that you could connect with, thousands of businesses everywhere, or people making decisions in food and beverage. What's your one message to them?
I don't know. Don't think that the basket of working in a restaurant is only financial. That not only for you and your customers, but what about for you and your employees? What about trying to figure out how not to make recycling the most important corporate initiative you have, but maybe recycling people, maybe just one person at a time, and do that by literally having a relationship with someone that not only wants it, but needs it, and see if you can change the trajectory of someone's life humbly through the help of your business. That's what I'd say. Thank
you, Rob. Again, remember you can find Rob Perez, DV8 Kitchen, single. Yep. DV8kitchen.com. He's a super accessible guy. Emailed him, he emailed me back. So please consider what he says. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. This is Duncan, your host, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.